Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Jamie Frawley, Managing Director at IR Labs, and I'm pleased to moderate this webinar on behalf of Beyond Oil.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you everyone for joining us after a long weekend. I'd like to introduce also a special guest that we have with us today. Normally, when a company puts on a webinar like this, you only hear from management, but we have invited one of our customers, a user of the Beyond Oil product, to come and speak on his own behalf today in terms of how he uses the product, the impact, whether he likes it or not. And he's going to be answering some questions. I know we've received some already by email ahead of time. So he'll be answering some specific questions on his experience in the use of the product. We will not be mentioning the name of the company that he's with, but it is one of the ones that was previously announced earlier this year. So what I'd like to do is take everybody through a brief overview of the company. So what does Beyond Oil do? Beyond Oil solves a major health, environmental, and cost problem experienced in the food industry. So for those of you who may have worked in the restaurant industry, you know that when you fry food in oil after 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days, the oil gets black and dirty and smoky and it smells really bad. So the restaurant dumps it out after a few days and replaces it with brand new oil. And the result of that is that during day 2, 3, and 4 and beyond, the food soaks up the toxified oil into the food, which is very unhealthy for the public. And because the restaurant is continually dumping and replacing the oil, it's bad for the environment because of food waste and transport and so on of the oil. And also there's a significant cost component when they're replacing oil continually. Now, what we have as a solution is a powder, and it's been patented in the United States, in Europe, and in Israel. And it's also been cleared by the FDA and Health Canada and a few other regulatory agencies. And this powder basically gets dumped into the frying oil at the end of every day as a filtration aid and helps remove the toxins from the oil so that the oil stays cleaner on an ongoing basis. And the oil, as a result, lasts much longer, so the restaurant doesn't need to replace the oil nearly as much as it does without us, which saves them money. So you can see the difference here in this photo. This is an actual customer that we have in Israel. Very clear. You can see on the left, this is oil fried in food for 3 days and without Beyond Oil. The middle jar is with Beyond Oil after 3 days. Again, same restaurant, same oil, same food, same fryers. And then in this case, it went on for 30 days. You could see the jar on the right. So there is a significant difference that you can see, but what you can't tell by this photo is the smell difference, the consistency difference, the lack of smoke, and so on when you're frying the oil. You can see the difference here in the fryers in the top right. And in this case, the food difference, because the oil is cleaner and has less toxins, you can see how much better the food looks when you're frying it in Beyond Oil in the photo on the left. All of the toxin groups that we have recorded and measured in numerous pilots and customer sales across the world show 2 things. Number 1, there's less toxins in the oil when you fry with us. And number 2, the oil lasts longer as a result of that. So there's 3 main benefits that come out of our product. You have healthier food because the oil is cleaner. You have cost savings because the oil lasts longer for the restaurant, and you have an environmental benefit. You're dumping less oil, manufacturing, refining less oil, which all wraps into a very significant suite of positive results. And we always point out here that how many products do you know in the world that have environmental and health benefits that also save the customer money? It's a very rare thing. So if you buy an electric vehicle, you buy it because it has less fumes and so on for the environment, but it usually costs more money. In this case, we have environmental and health benefits that save industry money. So it is a very rare situation. We have commercially a major distribution and strategic partnership in Canada with one of the largest oil collection companies in Western Canada, and they also have a presence in Europe, in Washington State. We signed a deal in May with one of the largest restaurant chains in the world, who's now buying the product in Israel. We announced this back in May. And 1 month later, we announced a second American global chain as a customer that's now buying in Israel. And in both of these cases, we are currently now selling the product commercially in Israel and going through the process of getting vendor approval globally with their head offices in the United States. Also importantly, it's not just about restaurants with us, it's about the industrial frying industry. So you might have a restaurant that has 20 liters or 30 liters of oil in a fryer, but how about a frying factory that has thousands of liters of oil that's frying massive amounts of French fries and chicken strips and so on, selling them to supermarket chains and Costco in bulk. And so Beyond Oil put out a news release in August that after some pilot programs, we signed an LOI with one of the world's largest manufacturers of filtration systems for these large industrial factories. We haven't named them yet, but we're currently working on proofs of concept with them to take their filtration systems, which we know are compatible with our powder, because we've already done the initial pilots, and doing this now in a large industrial context. And we plan to roll this out as we finish the pilot stage next year with our partners in Canada and elsewhere. And as you can imagine, the volumes of powder and the margins will be much higher than it will be for restaurants. And so we're working on that quietly and concurrently behind the scenes as we roll out to the restaurants. Now, speaking of restaurants, as Jamie pointed out earlier, this morning, we put out a news release where we announced our first penetration into Western Europe with direct sales. So a customer that has 20 restaurants in Spain called Mr. Noodles has made this purchase order. They've ordered enough powder to last for well over a year for their chain, which is a nice order for us. But more importantly than that, it's about us penetrating the market in the western part of the world, in this case in Western Europe, with larger, more populated countries, and building up a recurring revenue model from that. I want to point out too that those first American chains that I spoke about a few minutes ago took us many months of pilots to get any sales from those deals. But in this case, there was no long pilot. In fact, there was no pilot at all, because word is getting around globally in the food industry about how Beyond Oil produces these results for these restaurants, and they're now coming to us. And so we're making some good sales, and we have a very solid pipeline of restaurant chains and distributors now that we're working with. Some of them are on pilots, some of them aren't. And so we're expecting a very nice flow of news over the coming weeks and months for Beyond Oil on an ongoing basis. So there are some other products out in the world that are in the restaurant and the industrial oil industry. But as you can see here on this matrix, two important things. Number one, in the first row, Beyond Oils makes the oil last much longer than the other competitors. And why is that? It's because if you look at the four bottom rows in this chart, you can see that Beyond Oil removes 4 toxin groups, for example, that the others do not. So in other words, Beyond Oil makes the oil cleaner by removing more toxins, so it therefore makes the oil last longer. We have a very tight share structure in the company. We have made 2 strategic investments. We've received 2 equity investments this year from both of our distributors, one of them being West Coast Reduction in Canada, and one of them being Fandango, that's our exclusive distributor in Israel. So 2 strategic investments in the first 6 months of this year. The founders and the insiders are also large shareholders, but more importantly than that, the main reason that our stock is appreciated in value this year is not because of promotion or anything like that. It's happening organically because the franchise owners, the restaurant owners, the distributors, and their employees are seeing how our product produces these results, and they themselves are buying stock in the market organically. And we expect this trend to accelerate as we expand into the United States, into Western Europe and Asia, and other more populated parts of the world, which makes Beyond Oil stock a very attractive proposition. So that's the overall view of the company and where we're at. And I know there are many questions that have come up on the Q&A slide, and I think we're going to turn it over back to Jamie for a moment to facilitate the question and answer period. Jamie.
Thanks, Robert. Number one, Robert, maybe this one's for you. What are the company's short-term and long-term goals?
Okay, so there's basically three big things going on with Beyond Oil right now. Number one, we're looking at getting vendor approval with those two large worldwide chains that we're already selling in Israel. So we're expecting that to happen in the coming weeks and months. We're making very good advances on that in the United States with their head offices. Number two, we're adding more chains. So we've done pilots very successfully with large American chains in addition to those first two, and others like Mr. Noodles and other regional, small and larger size chains. So we're looking at signing up deals directly with groups like that. And number three, as I mentioned, getting commercialized in the industrial frying market. And this is happening. We've got an LOI signed. We've done pilots very successfully in Canada and in California. So getting commercialized in the industrial frying market is another near-term goal.
Thanks, Robert. Here's a kind of a follow-on question. How is Beyond Oil positioning itself for global expansion?
So in addition to what I just mentioned, I would point out that we made a very significant hire recently in the United States. So we know that for Beyond Oil to become a major success, we need to conquer the United States market. This is where the head offices are for a lot of these chains, and fast food's very popular there. So we've recently started hiring our US sales team, and we're working on a strategic and scaled up penetration plan in the United States. And we're expecting results to come out of that effort very soon as we really build the company around this team in the US market.
Great, thank you. Next one, Shany, this one's probably for you. What is Beyond Oil's current financial status, and how does it plan to achieve profitability?
Thank you, Jeremy. Basically, we have a healthy balance sheet. We have enough money until the end of 2025, assuming no additional revenues. But more revenues are coming in, as Robert mentioned before. And we have also money coming from warrants exercise. For example, all of the warrants that coming out from our October 2023 financing have been exercised until today. So we are in a very good spot in this matter, and things are going good.
Great, thanks, Shany. Robert, you just sort of touched on the shareholder base and share price growing organically. It's moved up so much over the past 6 months. And is that a risk for new investors to buy after a run on the stock?
So it's a good question. And I just want to emphasize to everybody, the stock has not gone up because of any promotional activities or anything like that. We have not done any of that at all. It's happening organically. Word is getting around in industry. And the stock buying has come from people who are using and buying the product as customers largely. And also we have shareholders in Canada and Europe that are seeing the traction. So if you look back on our news releases since January of this year, so the first 10 months of this year, we have achieved a massive amount of commercial milestones. I've very rarely seen a company get two strategic investments, two big chains, getting in the industrial market. We're hitting a lot of commercial milestones and people are seeing it. And so they're believing our story and buying the stock organically.
Next one is for Michael. How does Beyond Oil's product benefit health?
Thanks. Robert, I don't know if you want to bring up that slide with the charts. When you reuse oil, a lot of known carcinogens, things that impact cardiovascular health, a lot of things that impact people's health start to accumulate in the oil. You could see on this chart trans fats and heavy metals and acrylamide, which is a pretty nasty carcinogen that happens particularly when you fry potatoes. And these all start to grow and accumulate quite quickly as you're reusing oil. And if you look at the chart there with Beyond Oil, it's significantly reduced, in the case of acrylamide, virtually eradicated all the way through the use of the oil that when you're using the product. And I also want to note that a lot of these things also find their way into the fumes. So it's not just impacting the health of those eating the food and making that healthier, but the workers that work around oil are also benefited.
Thanks, Michael. Actually, there's a follow-up question to that. It's how does Beyond Oil contribute to reducing waste in the food industry?
Oh, well, there's a number of ways that it helps. The biggest one is it takes thousands of liters of water to make 1 liter of cooking oil. So as you reduce the amount of oil that's being used, you are making a very big impact on the amount of water. But there's also there's things that also relate to sustainability. So all the containers ending up being thrown away, transportation costs, even power utilization. So for our customers, there's a very big impact on their sustainability goals through reducing the use of oil.
Great, thank you, Michael. Okay, so a few questions have come in for Aviran. Number one, did the use of Beyond Oil affect the taste, appearance, and color of the fried food? And if so, in what way? Please tell us about positive and negative feedback from customers.
So thanks. I'm happy to be here and speak on behalf Beyond Oil. If there is an impact, so no. We measure hundreds of comments, and if there is a zero negative impact, there is a zero impact at all, which is a very good and positive issue. So to your question, there is no impact at all.
Great. Next question also for you. How easy has it been for you to integrate Beyond Oil's product into your day-to-day operations? And has the use of the powder added work to your employees or reduced work?
Very good question. As a CEO, my biggest fear and concern was the implementation process. It was very, very easy. One, the operation procedures is very, very easy. Okay, we didn't change anything in our own process. So to use Beyond Oil is very, very simple and very, very safe. This is one. On the other hand, after we explain our teams what we are doing, what we are here to examine, what Beyond Oil powder doing, okay, it was very, very easy. So zero negative impact for my teams. It was very, very clear from the very beginning that everybody is on board. Okay.
Thank you. Another question for you. What is the longest oil life extension that you have witnessed with Beyond Oil? Has much of your oil consumption been reduced since you started using Beyond Oil?
So when we started, our average, we change oil every 4 to 6 days. Okay, it depends on the branch and traffic and so on. Now we are average of 45 days in average, and during our process, the golden branch was achieved 75 days with the same oil, and we keep our regulation. So 75 days was a peak, which is amazing.
Still a few more for you here.
Oh.
You say you use the oil for more than 2 weeks. Doesn't such a figure alarm customers? How do you market such information in a good way?
One, it's not a public info how many days we use. This is one. But I think that when you put Beyond Oil sticker on your door, it's like a sign. Okay, you are in a safe environment. Okay, you are going to it where people have awareness and the knowledge how to treat fried oil. So it's not how we market it in how many days, but we market it that you are going to a safe place.
There are competing powders. What is the difference in use between Beyond Oil and the other powders?
I'm in this business more than a decade. So I worked with comparative and so on and so on. We don't have time that I will say the exact different, but Beyond Oil are superior in any aspect.
And lastly, in your opinion, what are the chances that the product will also be integrated into international food chains?
It's not a question that if, it's a question of when, because when people in my business know what they know about Beyond Oil, it's $1 billion company. It's huge. It's a game changer for us, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, Jamie, I see there's some coming up live here, so why don't I just jump in and tag some of them? So has the
Perfect.
FDA approved your product? Yes, they have. 2.5 years ago, we're cleared by FDA in the United States and Health Canada and in Canada. Are there sales outside of Israel? Absolutely. So we announced Spain this morning. We have distributor West Coast Reduction in Canada, which includes Washington. And as I mentioned, we're working on our rollout and market penetration in the US, where we're expecting results very soon, including these first 2 chains that we're selling to in Israel. Once we get global approval, we'll be able to sell in the US and Western countries quite quickly. I see another question. Are you planning new production facilities near to your main customer? So very good question. When we announced West Coast Reduction, the partnership with them in January of this year, part of that deal included a right of first refusal for them to manufacture our product for the whole North American market. So that deal is in place, and as the demand for the product increases in North America, we're expecting to be triggering that in the near future. So absolutely. Why are sales falling compared to last year? They are not. Actually, the sales are up. We have shipped some containers this year, and we're expecting more to come before the end of the year. Okay, someone is asking about getting samples of Beyond Oil for testing. So you can contact us directly. And if you are in Canada asking that question, you can reach out to West Coast Reduction, which is on our website. Value and market cap, $100 million. What are some of the financial metrics you need to hit? So certainly 2024 is not and never has been about revenue for us. 2024 is about entering into the market and validating this product with very large customers. And we have done that. 2 US chains, we got industrial pilots, some initial sales with direct sales with chains. And the West Coast Reduction, by the way, which we have given all of Canada to, and Washington State, they are doing their own rollout, their own pilots, and they're making their own sales directly, which we're hoping to provide the market with an update in the coming weeks. And so now that we've got this product validation and these marquee customers, 2025 is going to be about revenue increases. So we're expecting to be getting global approval from those 2 American chains that we're selling to in Israel. So that will lead to significant revenue increase, we expect. And as I said earlier, we have a very large and growing pipeline of new direct deals in Europe and elsewhere in the world because word is getting around about our product. Production capacity question. So we're good for the next year and a half as we are. But as I said, when we're not, we're going to trigger the West Coast Reduction production right of first refusal in North America. So there's some questions here also on the ROI for the customers. So the ROI varies. It depends on if you have 5 fryers or 1 fryer, how busy your restaurant is, what kind of oil you're using. But we safely say that we'll save each restaurant thousands of dollars a year in oil net after buying our product. Where is the product made? So it's currently produced in Israel. And the last question I see here is the disturbances in Israel. So we are continuing business as usual. And again, we're looking at expanding our production and our sales and growing the team outside of Israel. And we're already doing that on every front. So we are proceeding. We're growing, and we're going to continue to, and in fact, we're going to accelerate that in the coming weeks and months. I think I have answered all of these questions. Okay, there's one more that's just come up. Can you speak to the ability to scale up? So yes, we are working on that very hard behind the scenes, again, with our partners in Canada who have a lot more capacity and resources than we do. But when we do get, for example, global approval with these chains and add new chains on, you know, it's not like the first day they're going to say supply us globally. This is going to happen incrementally, and we will be organized and ready for it. And we're transparent with everybody we're talking to about where we are and what we are. But we're very confident that we're going to scale up very quickly over the coming months. And the rate of news flow with real underlying commercial news, revenue-based news is going to increase and accelerate in the coming weeks and months. I am not aware of any small cap, micro cap company that has produced the number of milestones, both commercially and stock wise and investment wise, as Beyond Oil has in the first 10 months of this year. Again, 2 equity strategic investments, worldwide chains, successful pilots, getting in the industrial market, direct sales, and stock appreciation, all with no promotion, IR promotion, artificially getting the stock up. So we have executed, and now we're going to continue to execute and tie it in with revenue growth over the coming year. So I just would remind everybody, I think that's the last question that I've hit on. We are on the CSE under the stock symbol BOIL, on the OTC, and we have recently, for those of you who might be joining us from Europe, we have recently got a ticker on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. The symbol is UH9. So there are a lot of different ways to buy our stock. And Aviran here has given me the approval to tell you all that he is also a shareholder personally after using the product and heading up the activity commercially for the chain in Israel for us. He is a shareholder. He's bought the shares organically, as have a lot of his colleagues and other users of the product in Israel. So we'd encourage you to learn more. BeyondOil.co is our website. Again, you can look at our ticker symbols and sign up for news releases. And I think you will be getting a lot of news releases in your inbox if you sign up for that system. So Jamie, over to you.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you, Michael and Shany and Aviran for participating in this webinar. And thanks to all those that attended. We've just exceeded the 30-minute mark, so this concludes today's webinar. A replay of this webinar will be available shortly, so please keep an eye out on our social media channels, and I'll share the link if you have any follow-up. And thank you again. Have a wonderful day ahead, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.